In the heart of a bustling city where skyscrapers pierced the clouds and dreams were both born and buried, there lived an elderly black man named Samuel. At first glance he appeared unremarkable, just another senior citizen navigating the crowded streets with his cane. But beneath his quiet demeanor lay a life rich with stories, achievements, and pain. Samuel was no ordinary man. He had built a fortune through decades of relentless hard work in real estate. Yet despite his wealth, he chose to live simply, wearing clothes that didn't scream affluence but carried the weight of dignity. Every evening, like clockwork, Samuel would leave his modest apartment and make his way to a small diner tucked away on a quiet street. The diner wasn't fancy. It had cracked vinyl booths, flickering fluorescent lights, and walls painted a faded yellow. But it held a special place in Samuel's heart. It reminded him of a similar diner he used to visit years ago with his late wife, Clara. Those memories were precious to him now, especially since Clara had passed away 5 years earlier. Her absence left a void so deep that even his vast fortune couldn't fill it. The staff at the diner, however, didn't see Samuel for who he truly was. To them, he was just an old black man, someone easy to overlook or dismiss. They judged him by his appearance, his worn-out shoes, his frayed jacket, and the simplicity of his orders. Most nights he ordered scrambled eggs with toast and a cup of black coffee. Nothing extravagant, nothing that hinted at wealth or success. And because of this, they treated him poorly. Some servers rolled their eyes when his name came up on the seating chart. Others whispered jokes behind his back, mocking the way he carefully counted out change for his tip. Even the manager, a stern woman in her 40s named Linda, kept a watchful eye whenever Samuel entered. She seemed to expect trouble from him, though none ever came. Despite their indifference, or perhaps because of it, Samuel never complained. He sat quietly in his usual corner booth, sipping his coffee and eating his meal as if the world around him didn't exist. What the staff failed to understand was that Samuel's visits weren't about food. They were about memories. Each bite of scrambled eggs transported him back to the days when life felt lighter, simpler. Back then, he and Clara would sit side by side in a diner much like this one, sharing laughter over plates of greasy breakfast food. They were newlyweds then, struggling to make ends meet but overflowing with love. Those mornings had been filled with hope, promise, and the belief that anything was possible. But time had a way of changing things. Over the years, Samuel and Clara faced hardships that tested their strength. They raised 2 children while working multiple jobs to keep a roof over their heads. There were moments of joy, yes, but also moments of struggle. Times when bills piled high and hope felt distant. Through it all, Clara remained Samuel's anchor, his rock. When she passed away after a long illness, Samuel felt as though a part of him had died too. Now, sitting alone in the diner, Samuel clung to the fragments of his past. He cherished every memory of Clara, the sound of her laughter, the warmth of her embrace, the way she always knew how to make him smile. These memories were his lifeline, keeping him tethered to a world that often felt cold and indifferent. The diner became a sanctuary, a place where he could briefly escape the loneliness that gnawed at him. Despite the staff's poor treatment, Samuel continued to return night after night. Perhaps it was habit, perhaps it was nostalgia, or perhaps it was something deeper, a stubborn refusal to let bitterness take root in his heart. Whatever the reason, he endured their disdain with quiet grace, paying little attention to their whispers and sneers. One rainy evening, something unexpected happened. A new waitress started working at the diner. Her name was Emily, a young woman in her mid-20s with bright eyes and a warm smile. Unlike the other staff members, Emily approached Samuel's table with genuine kindness. "Good evening, sir," she said cheerfully. "How are you today?" Her words caught Samuel off guard. For the first time in months, or maybe even years, he felt seen. Not as a stereotype or an inconvenience, but as a person. He hesitated before responding, unsure of how to react. "I'm fine," he finally replied, his voice tinged with surprise. Over the next few weeks, Emily made it a point to check on Samuel during her shifts. She asked about his day, complimented his choice of meals, and occasionally lingered to chat. Slowly, but surely Samuel began to open up. He found himself looking forward to her visits, eager to share snippets of his life with someone who listened without judgment. Emily, too, enjoyed their conversations. She learned about Samuel's childhood in a small southern town, his marriage to Clara, and the challenges they faced together. In turn, she shared her own struggles, her battle with self-doubt, her strained relationship with her parents, and her dream of becoming a writer someday. Their bond grew stronger with each passing day, bridging the gap between generations and backgrounds. Meanwhile, rumors began to swirl among the other employees. Why did Samuel always tip Emily so generously? Was she doing something special for him? Suspicion turned into jealousy, and soon whispers filled the air. One night, after overhearing particularly cruel remarks, Emily confronted the manager. "You don't know anything about him," she snapped, her voice trembling with anger. "He's kinder than any of you will ever be." Though shaken by the confrontation, Emily refused to back down. She believed in treating everyone with respect, regardless of their appearance or circumstances. Little did she know, her actions would set off a chain of events that would change not only Samuel's life but hers as well, and the lives of everyone at the diner. As the rain continued to fall outside, washing away the grime of the city streets, Samuel sat in his usual booth watching Emily move gracefully between tables. For the first time in years, he felt a glimmer of hope. Maybe, just maybe, the world wasn't as harsh as it seemed. The bond between Samuel and Emily grew stronger with each passing day. Their conversations, which began as casual exchanges, soon turned into heartfelt discussions about life, love, and loss. Emily listened intently as Samuel recounted stories of his early years, how he met Clara on a park bench during a sunny afternoon, how they fell in love despite their family's disapproval, and how they worked tirelessly to build a future together. He spoke of the sacrifices they made, the laughter they shared, and the dreams they nurtured for their children. For Samuel, talking about Clara was both painful and comforting. It brought back memories of her smile, her voice, her unwavering support, but it also reminded him of the void she left behind. Yet there was something therapeutic about sharing these stories with Emily. She didn't interrupt or judge. She simply listened, nodding occasionally and offering words of encouragement when needed. Her presence gave Samuel a sense of purpose, a reason to keep moving forward even in the face of overwhelming grief. Emily, too, found solace in their conversations. Life hadn't been kind to her lately. Her relationship with her boyfriend had ended abruptly, leaving her heartbroken and questioning her worth. Financial struggles added to her stress, forcing her to work long hours at the diner just to make ends meet. But sitting with Samuel, hearing his tales of resilience and perseverance, inspired her to keep going. His wisdom felt like a lifeline, pulling her out of the darkness that threatened to consume her. Their friendship became a source of strength for both of them. To Samuel, Emily represented hope, a reminder that life could still hold beauty and meaning even after great loss. To Emily, Samuel symbolized courage, a testament to the power of enduring hardship with grace and dignity. They leaned on each other in ways neither had anticipated, forming a connection that transcended age, race, and circumstance. But not everyone viewed their relationship favorably. The other staff members grew increasingly suspicious of Emily's interactions with Samuel. Why did she spend so much time chatting with him? Why did he always leave generous tips for her but barely acknowledge the others? Whispers spread like wildfire through the diner, fueled by jealousy and misunderstanding. One evening, as Emily cleared Samuel's table, a server named Jake approached her. "You're getting pretty cozy with the old guy, huh?" he sneered, his tone dripping with sarcasm. "What's your secret? You giving him special treatment or something?" Emily froze, her hands gripping the tray tightly. She wanted to lash out to defend herself and Samuel, but she knew it wouldn't do any good. Instead, she forced a calm smile and replied, "I'm just being nice, Jake. Maybe you should try it sometime." Her response only fueled the rumors. Some speculated that Emily was using Samuel for money, while others accused her of manipulating him for personal gain. Even Linda, the manager, began keeping a closer eye on their interactions, her sharp gaze lingering whenever Emily lingered near Samuel's booth. Despite the growing tension, Emily refused to let the negativity affect her. She continued treating Samuel with kindness, ensuring he felt welcome and valued. And Samuel, sensing her sincerity, appreciated her more than she could ever know. Unbeknownst to the staff and even to Emily, Samuel had been observing everything. He noticed the whispers, the sideways glances, the thinly veiled hostility directed at Emily because of her association with him. It pained him to see her endure such treatment, especially since she had done nothing wrong. If anything, she had shown him more compassion than anyone else in recent years. Samuel decided it was time to reveal a part of himself he had kept hidden for decades. One evening, as Emily approached his table with his usual order of scrambled eggs and coffee, Samuel reached into his coat pocket and pulled out an envelope. Inside were documents detailing his extensive property holdings, including the very building where the diner was located. "Emily," he said softly, catching her. "Attention. There's something I need to show you." Curious, Emily set down the tray and took a seat across from him. As Samuel explained the contents of the envelope, her eyes widened in disbelief. You own this place?" she stammered, struggling to process what she was hearing. Samuel nodded. "And several others around the city. I've chosen to live modestly, but that doesn't mean I'm poor. I come here because it reminds me of my past, of Clara, not because I have nowhere else to go." Emily sat in stunned silence, unsure of what to say. She had never suspected that the quiet man who frequented the diner was actually a millionaire. The revelation changed everything, and yet it didn't. To her, Samuel was still the same kind, gentle soul she had grown to care for. When Linda, the manager, overheard snippets of their conversation, she rushed over, panic written all over her face. "Mr. Samuel," she stammered, trying to mask her fear with false politeness. "Is there anything we can do for you? Anything at all?" Samuel raised a hand to stop her. "Relax, Linda. I'm not here to cause trouble. I just wanted to remind everyone that appearances can be deceiving. You've treated me poorly because of how I look, assuming I'm someone I'm not. But I'm still human, deserving of respect, like anyone else." His words hung heavy in the air, silencing the room. The staff exchanged uneasy glances, their faces flushed with shame. For the first time, they saw Samuel not as an old black man to be dismissed, but as a person with depth, history, and power. As news of Samuel's wealth spread, the atmosphere at the diner shifted dramatically. Servers who once ignored him now fawned over him, offering free desserts and refilling his coffee cup without being asked. Linda hovered nearby constantly, eager to ensure his satisfaction. Even Jake, the server who had mocked Emily, went out of his way to apologize. But Samuel remained unfazed. He accepted their newfound attentiveness with grace, refusing to hold grudges or seek revenge. Instead, he used the opportunity to teach them a valuable lesson. "Respect isn't something you give based on wealth or status," he told them one evening. "It's something you offer to every human being, regardless of how they appear. We all carry burdens you can't see." Emily watched as the staff transformed under Samuel's guidance. They became more attentive, more polite, not just to Samuel, but to all customers. The diner's reputation improved, drawing in new patrons curious about the millionaire regular who preached kindness. What started as a small act of defiance against prejudice blossomed into a movement of empathy and understanding. Yet, amidst the change, Emily felt conflicted. Now that Samuel's true identity was known, would their friendship remain the same? Would the world's expectations force them apart? Sensing her unease, Samuel reassured her one evening as they sat together in his usual booth. "Emily," he said gently, "nothing will ever change how I feel about you. You've given me something priceless, your friendship. That's not something I'll ever take for granted." Tears welled up in Emily's eyes as she realized the depth of his sincerity. In a world quick to judge and label, Samuel saw her for who she truly was. A compassionate, resilient young woman fighting to find her place, and in return, she saw him, not as a millionaire or a grieving widower, but as a man who carried both joy and sorrow in equal measure. As weeks turned into months, the diner became more than just a place to eat. Under Samuel's influence, it evolved into a community hub where people gathered to share stories, laughter, and meals. Samuel organized monthly events, inviting local seniors to join him for evenings of camaraderie and connection. Emily played a key role in planning these gatherings, further solidifying her bond with Samuel. Through it all, Clara's memory loomed large. Samuel often spoke of her during these events, sharing anecdotes that painted a vivid picture of their life together. Emily, too, embraced Clara's legacy, feeling as though she had gained not just a friend but also a guardian angel guiding her path. Little did they know, their journey was far from over. Unbeknownst to either of them, fate had one final twist in store, a revelation that would test their friendship and redefine their lives forever. As the months passed, Samuel's presence at the diner continued to transform not only the staff but also the community. The monthly gatherings he organized became a cherished tradition, drawing in people from all walks of life. Seniors who had once felt invisible found themselves celebrated, their stories shared and valued. Families brought their children, eager to teach them the importance of listening to those who had lived through different times. Even strangers passing by would stop in, drawn by the warmth and laughter spilling out onto the street. Emily played an integral role in these events, working tirelessly behind the scenes to ensure everything ran smoothly. She coordinated menus, decorated tables with flowers and candles, and even arranged for local musicians to perform soft jazz or folk tunes in the background. Her efforts didn't go unnoticed. Samuel often praised her dedication, calling her the heart of Clara's Corner. Though officially the diner still bore its original name, everyone now referred to it as Clara's Corner, a nod to Samuel's late wife, whose spirit seemed to linger in every corner of the space. Transformation wasn't limited to the diner itself. The staff, once dismissive and rude, began treating customers with genuine care and respect. They learned to see beyond appearances, understanding that every person carried a story worth hearing. Linda, the manager, underwent perhaps the most dramatic change. Once quick to judge and micromanage, she now encouraged her team to connect with patrons on a personal level. She even started attending the monthly gatherings, mingling with guests and sharing her own experiences of growing up in the city. For Samuel, these evenings were bittersweet. On one hand, they filled him with joy to see how far the community had come under his influence. On the other hand, they reminded him of Clara, the woman who had inspired so much of what he did. He missed her deeply, especially during quiet moments when the chatter faded and the music paused between songs. But instead of letting grief consume him, Samuel channeled his emotions into action. He poured his love for Clara into making the world around him better, brighter, kinder. Emily noticed this shift in Samuel. While he remained gentle and wise, there was a newfound energy about him, a spark that hadn't been there before. It made her wonder if, perhaps, part of Clara's legacy was teaching others how to heal while honoring the past. One evening, after the crowd had dispersed and the diner grew quiet, Emily decided to broach the subject. "Samuel," she began hesitantly, wiping down a table nearby, "do you ever feel like you're doing all this because of Clara? Like she's guiding you somehow?" Samuel paused, his hands wrapped around a steaming mug of coffee. He smiled faintly, his eyes glistening with unshed tears. "Every day," he admitted softly. "Clara taught me so much. How to love, how to forgive, how to keep going even when life feels unbearable. I think she'd be proud of what we've built here, of what you've helped me build." His words caught Emily off guard. She had always assumed Samuel viewed her as a friend, someone who listened and supported him. But hearing him acknowledge her contributions, made her realize just how deeply their bond had grown. For the first time, she allowed herself to consider the possibility that their relationship might mean something more to both of them. Meanwhile, outside the cozy confines of Clara's corner, whispers about Samuel and Emily began to spread. Some praised their partnership, calling it inspiring and heartwarming. Others, however, weren't so kind. Critics questioned whether their connection was appropriate, pointing to the significant age gap and societal norms. A few even suggested that Emily was using Samuel for his wealth, despite knowing nothing about their friendship. At first, neither Samuel nor Emily paid much attention to the rumors. They were too focused on their work at the diner and the positive impact they were having on the community. But as the gossip intensified, it became harder to ignore. One afternoon, while Emily was restocking supplies in the kitchen, she overheard two servers discussing her. "I don't get it," one said, shaking her head. "What does he see in her? She's young enough to be his granddaughter." "It's probably just charity," the other replied with a shrug. "You know, rich guys like feeling needed." The comments stung, though Emily tried not to let them show. She finished her task in silence, her cheeks burning with embarrassment and anger. When Samuel entered the kitchen a few minutes later, she debated whether to tell him what she had heard. In the end, she decided against it, fearing it might upset him unnecessarily. But Samuel sensed something was wrong. Over dinner that evening, he studied Emily closely, noting the tension in her shoulders and the way she avoided meeting his gaze. "What's troubling you?" he asked finally, his voice laced with concern. Emily hesitated, unsure of how to respond. Finally, she sighed and blurted out, "People are talking about us. They're saying things about our age difference, about why we spend so much time together." Samuel's expression darkened, his jaw tightening slightly. "And do you believe them?" he asked, his tone measured but firm. "No," Emily exclaimed immediately. "Of course not. I know what we have is real, but it's hard, you know." Hearing those things, Samuel reached across the table, placing a weathered hand over hers. "Let them talk," he said gently. "Their opinions don't define us. What matters is how we treat each other, how we carry ourselves. If we stay true to who we are, no amount of gossip can hurt us." His words brought Emily comfort, but they also made her reflect on her feelings for Samuel. Was it possible to care for someone so deeply without crossing boundaries? Could their friendship evolve into something more without losing its essence? One crisp autumn evening, as golden leaves swirled in the wind outside, Samuel invited Emily to join him for a walk after the diner closed. They strolled side by side along the deserted streets, the only sound the rhythmic tap of Samuel's cane against the pavement. The air was cool, carrying with it the faint scent of wood smoke and fallen leaves. After several minutes of companionable silence, Samuel stopped beneath a lamppost, its warm glow casting long shadows on the ground. Turning to face Emily, he took a deep breath as if steeling himself for what he was about to say. "Emily," he began, his voice trembling slightly, "I need to tell you something I've been thinking about for a while now." Emily's heart skipped a beat. She nodded, urging him to continue. "You remind me so much of Clara," Samuel confessed, his eyes searching hers. "Not in looks, of course, but in spirit. You have her kindness, her strength, her ability to see the good in people even when they don't deserve it. Being with you, it makes me feel alive again. Whole again." Tears welled up in Emily's eyes as she listened, her chest tightening with emotion. Before she could respond, Samuel added, "I know this might sound strange, or maybe even selfish, but I've come to care for you deeply, more than just a friend, and I wanted you to know that whatever happens next, I'll respect your decision." For a moment, Emily stood frozen, overwhelmed by the weight of Samuel's confession. Then slowly she stepped closer, placing a hand on his arm. "Samuel," she whispered, her voice steady despite the whirlwind of emotions inside her. "You've given me so much: hope, courage, a sense of purpose. I don't know what the future holds, but I do know this. I care about you too, more than I ever thought possible." Her admission brought a tear to Samuel's eye, though he quickly brushed it away with a chuckle. "Well," he said, his voice lightening, "that's a start, isn't it?" They laughed softly, the tension melting away as they resumed their walk. Neither knew where this new chapter would lead, but for the first time in years, they felt hopeful. Hopeful that love in all its forms could transcend boundaries and defy expectations. Hopeful that together, they could create a future as beautiful as the memories they cherished from the past. As the days turned into weeks, Samuel and Emily navigated their evolving relationship with care and patience. They continued hosting events at Clara's Corner, inviting the community to share in their journey. Through it all, they remained grounded in their shared values: kindness, empathy, and a commitment to making the world a better place. Little did they know, their story was about to take another unexpected turn, one that would challenge everything they thought they knew about love, loss, and second chances. As Samuel and Emily's relationship deepened, the diner, now affectionately known as Clara's Corner, became a symbol of hope for the community. The monthly gatherings grew in popularity, drawing not only regular patrons but also curious visitors eager to witness the magic that seemed to fill the space. Stories of Samuel's generosity and Emily's compassion spread far beyond the city limits, inspiring others to embrace kindness and connection. Despite their growing bond, Samuel and Emily faced challenges that tested their resolve. The age difference between them remained a topic of speculation among outsiders, with some offering unsolicited opinions about whether their relationship was appropriate or sustainable. While Emily tried to brush off the negativity, it weighed heavily on Samuel, who feared his feelings might burden Emily or tarnish her reputation. One evening, after a particularly successful gathering at the diner, Samuel pulled Emily aside. His expression was unusually serious, his brow furrowed with concern. "Emily," he began hesitantly, "I've been thinking, maybe we're moving too fast. Maybe this isn't fair to you." Emily frowned, taken aback by his words. "What do you mean? We've been through so much together already. Why would you say something like that now?" Samuel sighed, lowering his gaze. "Because of the way people look at us, because of what they say. You're young, full of potential. I don't want my presence in your life to hold you back or make things harder for you." For a moment, Emily didn't respond. She could see the weight of his worries etched into his face, the fear of being judged, of causing her pain. But instead of feeling discouraged, she felt a surge of determination. Taking his hands in hers, she looked him squarely in the eyes. "Samuel, listen to me. I'm not doing this because I feel sorry for you or because I think it's the right thing to do. I'm here because I want to be. Because you've changed my life in ways I never thought possible. Don't push me away because of what other people think. That's their problem, not ours." Her words struck a chord within Samuel, easing some of the doubts that had plagued him. Still, he couldn't shake the feeling that their journey would require sacrifices on both sides. Love, he realized, wasn't just about joy and companionship. It was also about navigating obstacles and finding strength in vulnerability. The following weeks brought unexpected changes to Clara's Corner. Inspired by the success of the gatherings, Samuel decided to expand the diner's mission. He proposed turning it into a nonprofit organization dedicated to supporting seniors and fostering intergenerational connections. With Emily's help, he drafted plans to offer free meals to elderly residents, host workshops on storytelling and art, and create a library of donated books where people could share their favorite reads. The idea quickly gained traction, attracting volunteers and donors from across the city. Local businesses contributed supplies, while artists offered to paint murals on the diner's walls. One artist, a young woman named Maya, designed a mural depicting Samuel and Clara sitting side by side under a tree, surrounded by smiling faces of all ages. When the mural was unveiled, it became an instant landmark, drawing visitors who wanted to capture its beauty in photographs. Among those who visited Clara's Corner during this time was a journalist named Daniel Carter. Known for his investigative pieces on social issues, Daniel had heard whispers of the diner's transformation and decided to write a feature article about it. Over several days, he interviewed Samuel, Emily, staff members, and regular patrons, piecing together a narrative that highlighted the power of community and empathy. When the article appeared in a prominent magazine, it sent shockwaves through the city. Titled, "The Millionaire Who Changed a Diner and a Community," the piece painted Samuel as a modern-day hero, someone who used his wealth not for personal gain, but to uplift others. Photos accompanying the story showed Samuel laughing with children, helping seniors carry groceries, and sharing quiet moments with Emily. Readers were captivated by his humility and vision, flooding the diner with messages of support and gratitude. But fame came with its own set of challenges. Suddenly, Clara's Corner was inundated with requests for interviews, speaking engagements, and partnerships. Strangers began showing up unannounced, hoping to catch a glimpse of Samuel or snap a selfie with him. For a man who valued privacy, the attention was overwhelming. Emily noticed how exhausted he looked, how the constant scrutiny drained him emotionally. One night after closing the diner, Emily sat down with Samuel to discuss the situation. "We need to set boundaries," she said firmly. "This is your home, Samuel. It shouldn't feel like a circus." Samuel nodded, though he seemed uncertain. "I know you're right, but I don't want to turn people away either. They're inspired by what we've built here. How can I deny them that?" "You're not denying anyone anything," Emily replied gently. "You're protecting yourself and this place. If we let it get overrun, we'll lose what makes it special." Reluctantly, Samuel agreed to implement measures to manage the influx of visitors. He designated specific hours for tours and interviews, ensuring the diner remained a sanctuary for its core community. Emily took charge of handling inquiries, screening requests, and coordinating logistics. Together, they found a balance that allowed Clara's Corner to thrive without sacrificing its soul. Amidst the chaos, Samuel and Emily continued to nurture their relationship. Their evenings often ended with long walks through the park, where they discussed everything from their dreams for the future to their fears about the present. During one such walk, Emily broached a subject she had been hesitant to bring up. "Have you ever thought about writing a book?" she asked, glancing at him sideways. "About your life, your memories of Clara, everything you've done here?" Samuel chuckled, shaking his head. "Me? Write a book? I wouldn't even know where to start." "You don't have to do it alone," Emily insisted. "There are writers who specialize in memoirs, or I could help you. We could work on it together." The idea intrigued Samuel, though it also intimidated him. Sharing his story meant revisiting painful memories, confronting emotions he had buried for years. Yet the thought of leaving behind a legacy, a tangible reminder of his love for Clara and his commitment to kindness, felt profoundly meaningful. Over the next few months, Samuel and Emily embarked on the project, meeting regularly to jot down notes and organize chapters. They titled the book, Clara's Corner, A Life Rebuilt. Weaving together tales of loss, resilience, and redemption, writing became a form of therapy for Samuel, allowing him to process his grief while celebrating the beauty of his journey. As the manuscript neared completion, Samuel received an invitation that would change everything. A prestigious foundation had nominated him for a humanitarian award, citing his contributions to the community and his efforts to combat ageism and prejudice. The ceremony was scheduled to take place in New York City, attended by influencers, philanthropists, and media personalities. Though honored, Samuel initially resisted the idea of traveling. "It's too much fuss," he protested. "Besides, I'd rather stay here with you in the diner." But Emily encouraged him to accept the nomination. "This is your chance to inspire even more people," she argued. "Think of all the good you can do with that platform." Eventually, Samuel relented, agreeing to attend the event with Emily by his side. As they prepared for the trip, excitement buzzed in the air. Friends and neighbors rallied around them, offering well wishes and advice. Even Linda, the manager, surprised everyone by baking a cake decorated with the words, "Congratulations, Samuel." On the night of the ceremony, Samuel stood nervously backstage, adjusting his tie for the 100th time. Emily placed a reassuring hand on his arm. "You've got this," she whispered. "Just be yourself." When Samuel stepped onto the stage to accept the award, the room erupted in applause. Holding the trophy aloft, he delivered a speech that left the audience in tears. He spoke of Clara, of the lessons she taught him about love and forgiveness. He thanked Emily for reigniting his passion for life and urged everyone to embrace empathy as a guiding principle. By the end of the evening, Samuel and Emily were hailed as heroes, their story celebrated as proof that love and kindness could transcend barriers. But for them, the true victory lay not in accolades or recognition, but in the knowledge that they had created something enduring, something rooted in hope, humanity, and heart. Little did they know, however, that their journey was far from over. Back home, waiting for them at Clara's corner, was a letter that would challenge everything they thought they knew about family, identity, and belonging. When Samuel and Emily returned to Clara's corner after the award ceremony, they were greeted by a flurry of activity. The diner buzzed with excitement, its walls adorned with congratulatory banners made by regular patrons. Friends and neighbors had gathered to celebrate their achievement, filling the space with laughter, music, and warm embraces. For Samuel, it was a moment of fulfillment, a reminder that his life's work had touched countless hearts. Amidst the celebration, however, Linda approached them holding an envelope. Her expression was unusually serious, her hands trembling slightly as she handed it to Samuel. "This came for you while you were away," she said softly. "It looks important." Curious but unalarmed, Samuel opened the envelope and pulled out a single sheet of paper. As he read the contents, his face paled, and his grip on the letter tightened. Sensing something was wrong, Emily leaned closer, her voice laced with concern. "Samuel, what is it?" Without a word, Samuel handed her the letter. It was written in neat cursive, each sentence carrying the weight of revelation. "Dear Mr. Samuel Peterson, we are writing to inform you of a matter concerning your late wife, Clara Peterson. Recent investigations have uncovered evidence suggesting that Clara may have given birth to a child before meeting you, a daughter named Rebecca. We understand this news may come as a shock, and we would like to assist you in connecting with her if you so desire. Please contact us at your earliest convenience." The room seemed to spin around Emily as she processed the words. She looked up at Samuel, searching his eyes for any sign of emotion, but his face remained unreadable, a mask of shock and disbelief. "Do you think it's true?" she asked hesitantly. "I don't know," Samuel replied, his voice barely above a whisper. "Clara never mentioned anything like this to me. If it's real, why didn't she tell me?" Emily placed a comforting hand on his shoulder. Maybe she was afraid. Or maybe she thought it wasn't relevant anymore. Whatever the reason, you deserve answers. Over the next few days, Samuel wrestled with conflicting emotions. On one hand, the possibility of having a biological connection to Clara filled him with hope, a chance to feel closer to her even after her passing. On the other hand, the idea of confronting a secret she had kept from him for decades left him feeling betrayed and hurt. He spent hours staring at old photographs of Clara, trying to piece together clues that might explain her silence. Meanwhile, Emily did everything she could to support him. She researched the organization that had sent the letter, verifying its legitimacy and arranging a meeting with their representative. Together, they decided to proceed cautiously, agreeing to meet Rebecca only if Samuel felt ready. The meeting arrived sooner than expected. Held at a quiet cafe downtown, it brought Samuel face to face with a woman who bore a striking resemblance to Clara. Rebecca was in her early 50s, her dark hair streaked with gray and her eyes reflecting. A mix of curiosity and apprehension. When Samuel entered the cafe, she stood up immediately, extending a tentative hand. "Mr. Peterson?" she asked, her voice trembling. "I'm Rebecca." Samuel nodded, shaking her hand but struggling to find the right words. "You look so much like her," he finally managed, his voice thick with emotion. Rebecca smiled faintly, tears welling up in her eyes. I've waited my whole life to hear someone say that. As they sat down to talk, Rebecca shared her story. She explained that she had been born out of wedlock and raised by adoptive parents who loved her dearly. Growing up, she often wondered about her biological mother, but lacked the resources to search for her. It wasn't until recently, after submitting a DNA sample to a genealogy database, that she discovered her connection to Clara. I never imagined I'd find anyone else, Rebecca admitted, her voice breaking. And then I learned about you, about what you've done for the community. It's like I've found not just a mother's legacy, but a father's too. Hearing those words stirred something deep within Samuel. Despite his initial reservations, he realized that Rebecca wasn't a threat to his memories of Clara. Rather, she was an extension of them. By welcoming her into his life, he could honor Clara's memory in a way he hadn't anticipated. Back at Clara's corner, news of Rebecca's existence spread quickly among the staff and patrons. Some expressed skepticism, questioning whether this sudden development was genuine or fabricated. Others, like Emily, saw it as an opportunity for healing and growth. Determined to help Samuel navigate this new chapter, she organized a special gathering at the diner to introduce Rebecca to the community. The event was bittersweet yet beautiful. As Rebecca stood beside Samuel, sharing stories about her childhood and expressing gratitude for being welcomed into his life, the room fell silent. Even the most skeptical attendees couldn't deny the authenticity of their bond. When Rebecca spoke of her admiration for Samuel's work and dedication to preserving Clara's spirit, tears flowed freely, not just from Samuel and Emily, but from everyone present. For Samuel, the evening marked a turning point. Though he still grappled with unanswered questions about Clara's past, he chose to focus on the future, a future enriched by the presence of someone who carried her bloodline. Rebecca, in turn, embraced her role as part of Clara's corner, volunteering alongside Emily to continue its mission of fostering connection and compassion. As weeks turned into months, Samuel, Emily, and Rebecca formed an unlikely trio, united by their shared love for Clara and their commitment to making a difference. They worked tirelessly to expand the diner's programs, introducing initiatives aimed at supporting single mothers, promoting adoption awareness, and providing mentorship opportunities for young adults. Through it all, Emily remained Samuel's anchor, a source of strength and stability during moments of doubt. Their relationship continued to evolve, growing deeper and more profound with each passing day. Though challenges persisted, from societal judgment to personal insecurities, they faced them together, drawing courage from their unwavering belief in each other. One crisp winter evening, as snowflakes drifted lazily outside the diner's windows, Samuel pulled Emily aside. His expression was soft, his eyes shining with affection. "You've given me so much, Emily," he said, his voice trembling with emotion. "A second chance at love, a family I never knew I needed. I want you to know how grateful I am for everything." Emily smiled, reaching up to cup his cheek. "And you've given me purpose, Samuel. You've shown me that love isn't bound by age or circumstance. It's about understanding, respect, and choosing to stand by someone no matter what." Their embrace lingered, a testament to the power of love to heal wounds, bridge divides, and create something extraordinary out of ordinary beginnings. But just as life began to settle into a rhythm of peace and joy, another unexpected twist awaited them, one that would force Samuel, Emily, and Rebecca to confront the fragility of happiness and the resilience required to protect it. Little did they know, the greatest test of their bond was yet to come. The newfound harmony at Clara's corner seemed unshakable. Samuel, Emily, and Rebecca had formed a tight-knit family, bound by love, respect, and shared purpose. Together, they continued expanding the diner's reach, hosting events that brought people from all walks of life together. The once dismissive staff now treated every customer with genuine warmth, inspired by Samuel's teachings about empathy and kindness. For the first time in years, Samuel felt truly content, a man surrounded not only by memories of Clara, but also by living connections to her legacy. But life has a way of testing even the strongest bonds. One chilly spring morning, as Samuel prepared to open the diner, he experienced a sudden sharp pain in his chest. He collapsed onto the floor, clutching his heart, unable to call for help. It wasn't until Emily arrived an hour later that she found him lying unconscious, pale and barely breathing. An ambulance rushed Samuel to the hospital, where doctors diagnosed him with a severe heart attack. Though they managed to stabilize him, the prognosis was grim. His age, combined with underlying health issues, meant he would likely require extensive medical care moving forward. The news hit Emily and Rebecca like a tidal wave, leaving them shaken and overwhelmed. For days, they took turns sitting by Samuel's bedside, holding his hand and whispering words of encouragement. When he finally regained consciousness, weak but alert, Samuel greeted them with a faint smile. "I'm still here," he croaked, his voice hoarse. "Not ready to leave just yet." Though relieved, Emily couldn't shake the fear gripping her heart. She realized how fragile life was and how much Samuel meant to her. That night, after leaving the hospital, she sat alone in her apartment, tears streaming down her face. What if she lost him? How could she possibly go on without him? As Samuel recovered, the trio made adjustments to ensure his well-being. Emily scaled back her hours at the diner to focus on caring for him, while Rebecca stepped up to oversee operations. They hired additional staff to handle daily tasks, allowing them to prioritize what mattered most, supporting each other through this difficult time. Despite the challenges, Samuel refused to let his illness dampen his spirit. From his hospital bed, he began dictating letters to Emily, detailing final thoughts and reflections for the book they had started writing. "If I can't finish it myself," he joked one evening, "at least I'll leave behind something meaningful." Emily nodded, though her throat tightened with emotion. "We'll finish it together," she promised. "Every word will be yours." In the weeks that followed, their collaboration became a lifeline, not just for Samuel but for Emily too. Pouring their hearts into the manuscript gave them a sense of purpose, a reminder that even in the face of adversity, creativity, and connection could flourish. When Clara's Corner, A Life Rebuilt, was finally published, it became an instant sensation. Readers were moved by Samuel's honesty, his vulnerability, and his unwavering belief in the power of love and community. The book's dedication read simply, "To Clara, whose light never fades, to Emily, who reignited mine, and to Rebecca, who reminds me that family is eternal." Bookstores across the city hosted signings, drawing crowds eager to meet the author, whose story had touched so many lives. Though Samuel attended only a few events due to his health, Emily stood proudly by his side, reading excerpts aloud when his strength waned. Rebecca joined them whenever possible, sharing anecdotes about her journey of reconnecting with her roots. Through it all, the diner remained a beacon of hope, its doors always open to those in need. Inspired by Samuel's resilience, Emily and Rebecca launched a new initiative called Your Hearts of Clara's Corner, offering free counseling services and support groups for individuals coping with loss or illness. The program quickly gained traction, further solidifying the diner's reputation as a sanctuary for healing and renewal. One summer evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting golden hues over the city skyline, Samuel gathered Emily and Rebecca in the diner's cozy corner booth. His frail body leaned heavily against the cushions, but his eyes sparkled with determination. "There's something I need to say," he began, his voice steady despite his weakened state. Emily and Rebecca exchanged worried glances before turning their attention back to him. "What is it?" Emily asked gently. "I've lived a long, full life," Samuel said, pausing to catch his breath. "And I've been blessed beyond measure, by Clara, by you two, by everyone here at Clara's Corner. But I know my time is running short. Before I go, I want to make sure you both understand how proud I am of everything we've built together." Rebecca reached out to hold his hand, her own trembling slightly. "You're not going anywhere," she insisted, though her voice betrayed her uncertainty. Samuel chuckled softly. We all have our seasons, Rebecca. Mine has been beautiful thanks to you and Emily. But I need you to promise me something, to keep this place alive, to carry on the work we started. Can you do that? Tears streamed down Emily's cheeks as she nodded. Of course, Samuel. We'll honor your vision no matter what. Satisfied, Samuel leaned back against the booth, closing his eyes for a moment. When he opened them again, there was a peacefulness in his gaze, a quiet acceptance of whatever lay ahead. Good, he murmured. That's all I needed to hear. Few months later, Samuel passed away peacefully in his sleep, surrounded by loved ones. His death left a void in the hearts of everyone who knew him, but it also reinforced the lessons he had spent a lifetime teaching. That love transcends boundaries, that kindness creates ripples far beyond what we can see, and that legacy isn't measured in wealth or fame, but in the lives we touch. Emily and Rebecca threw themselves into preserving Samuel's memory, renaming the diner officially to Clara's Corner, in honor of both Clara and Samuel. They hung photographs of the couple on the walls alongside quotes from Samuel's book. Every month, they hosted gatherings to celebrate his life, inviting patrons to share stories of how he had impacted them. Though grief lingered, Emily found solace in knowing that Samuel's spirit lived on, not just in the diner, but in the countless lives he had transformed. Rebecca, too, embraced her role as part of Clara's Corner, finding strength in the knowledge that she had discovered a family she never knew she needed. Years passed, and Clara's Corner continued to thrive under Emily and Rebecca's leadership. It became more than just a diner. It was a symbol of resilience, unity, and the enduring power of love. Visitors came from near and far, drawn by its history and the warmth of its community. Some left inspired to start similar initiatives in their own towns. Others simply cherished the sense of belonging they found within its walls. Emily often sat in Samuel's favorite booth, sipping coffee and watching the world outside. She thought about how far she had come, from a young woman struggling to find her place to someone who had helped build something extraordinary. She missed Samuel dearly, but she carried his wisdom with her every day, letting it guide her decisions and shape her interactions with others. One crisp autumn afternoon, as leaves swirled in the wind and laughter echoed through the diner, Emily glanced at a framed photograph of Samuel and Clara hanging above the counter. Smiling softly, she whispered, "Thank you, Samuel, for everything." And somewhere, perhaps in the gentle rustle of the breeze or the warmth of the setting sun, Samuel's presence lingered, a quiet reminder that love once given never truly fades.